For centuries, a story has been whispered into humanity's ears, a tale repeated so many times it turned into unquestioned truth. Picture a child, innocent and untainted, gazing up at a starry sky and asking their parents, "Where does God live?" The answer comes swiftly, up there in the heavens, far away from us. It's the same answer their parents heard from their parents, and so on for generations. But here's the question that shifts everything. What if that story is wrong? What if instead of being somewhere out there, God has always been within you? This one shift doesn't just change how you see yourself, it dismantles entire systems built on control. The belief in a distant, untouchable God makes you feel small, dependent, powerless, exactly the state of mind that benefits certain institutions. Because it's easier to control people who believe they have no power. Modern science is beginning to uncover what ancient mystics have long whispered. Neuroscience studies reveal that spiritual connection activates the same regions of the brain tied to identity and purpose. In other words, when you feel connected to something greater, that something isn't floating in space, it's hardwired into your mind. So the question becomes, why were we trained to look so far away for what's always been so close? Perhaps because someone, or some system, realized that a population disconnected from its inner power is easier to manipulate, easier to sell to, easier to govern through fear. What's been dressed as spirituality may, in some cases, be disguised submission. If you look within right now, what do you find? Fear, doubt, or maybe a spark? That spark is the beginning of remembrance. Not just memory, but a reawakening of a truth buried beneath noise. You are the flame, not the follower. You are the source, not the reflection. This isn't cheap self-help. It's biology, it's energy, it's physics. The HeartMath Institute has shown that the human heart emits an electromagnetic field up to 5,000 times more powerful than the brain's. This field expands and interacts with your surroundings, like a transmitter of intention. You are literally broadcasting your reality. But if you don't know that, you'll keep tuning into the narrative others wrote for you, that you need to seek approval, obey doctrine, earn divine attention. But what if you no longer needed permission? What if everything you've ever searched for, safety, love, meaning, power, has been dormant within you all along, simply waiting for you to remember? The real revolution doesn't start in the streets. It begins the moment you look in the mirror and say, "I am." Not out of ego, but out of truth. From here, everything shifts, and the first step is simple. Stop searching outside. Start listening within. That's where the real story begins, and you are the one who's meant to write it. You've spent most of your life being told that power lies somewhere else, in the hands of leaders, in books written centuries ago, in systems you're not allowed to question. From the moment you were born, the world began shaping your mind to look outward for answers. Schools taught obedience, religions taught separation, society taught that worth must be earned. But here's the radical truth: the real power isn't out there. It's been inside you this entire time. And once you realize this, everything changes. How you think, how you move, how you manifest what you want. You're not a piece on the board. You're the one shaping the game. Let's take a step back into history. In 1943, psychologist Abraham Maslow introduced his hierarchy of needs, a model that explained how human motivation works. At the very top of that pyramid is self-actualization, the fulfillment of one's potential. But what Maslow didn't fully explore was that the path to self-actualization isn't found by climbing external ladders. It's unlocked from within. The greatest thinkers, creators, and leaders didn't follow maps made by others. They listened to their inner compass. People like Nikola Tesla, who once said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration." Tesla understood what many still don't. The mind is not the source, it's the interface. The real source, that's the divine power within you. In 2023, a global study published by the Journal of Human Potential Science revealed that individuals who practiced intentional internal focus through meditation, visualization, or self-hypnosis showed a 42% increase in problem-solving abilities, emotional stability, and personal goal achievement over 12 months. That's not philosophy, that's measurable transformation. And the common factor wasn't education, wealth, or social status. It was belief in one's inner power. When you stop outsourcing authority and start trusting your internal voice, the world around you begins to respond in new ways. What once felt impossible suddenly becomes accessible, not because life changed, but because you did. Imagine this. You're holding a remote control, but someone else has been pressing the buttons your whole life. Media, tradition, expectations. Now, for the first time, you realize the remote is yours. You were always meant to press play, pause, rewind, or even reset. This is what the top 1% understand and use to their advantage. They don't wait for permission. They don't seek approval. They decide, not because they're lucky, but because they trust their internal alignment more than external opinions. And guess what? That ability isn't exclusive. It's human, it's yours too. This isn't about rejecting science or spirituality. It's about reclaiming the space where they meet, inside you. The ancient mystics called it the inner temple. In modern science calls it neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself based on thought, emotion, and repeated action. Your brain isn't fixed, it's a living tool. And every time you consciously choose to believe in yourself, to direct your focus inward, you're literally reshaping the way your mind functions. That's not magic, that's biology. So why does this matter? Because when you start living from the inside out, you stop being a victim of circumstances. You stop reacting and start creating. You stop begging for signs and start becoming the signal. You realize that you're not here to be saved. You're here to remember. Remember that the same energy that moves oceans, grows forests, and powers stars also flows through you. It always has. The systems you were taught to trust won't tell you this. They benefit from your doubt, but you don't have to live under their story anymore. The truth is simple, but powerful. You are the source, not a reflection, not a shadow. The source. And once you live from that truth, not just know it, but embody it, the world bends, opportunities multiply, and limitations dissolve. The only question left is, will you finally believe in the power that's already yours? From an early age, we're taught to chase dreams, chase love, chase success, chase approval. It's a cycle that never seems to end. You reach one milestone only to feel emptier than before. So you aim for another, then another, always hoping the next will finally make you feel whole. But here's a truth that rarely gets spoken. The endless search is the very thing keeping you from finding what you truly want. It's not that your desires are wrong, it's that you've been conditioned to believe what you seek is out there when the real treasure has always been buried inside. Let's break this down. The cycle of seeking begins with an illusion, the idea that you are incomplete, that something vital is missing from your life, and that the only way to feel fulfilled is to find that missing piece somewhere external, in a job, a relationship, a degree, a spiritual guru. But what if the gap you feel isn't real? What if it was manufactured, fed to you by systems that thrive on your constant dissatisfaction? Consumer culture depends on this. It tells you happiness can be bought. That confidence comes in a bottle. That purpose comes with a price tag. But if that were true, why are so many people still lost, despite having everything they thought they wanted? A 2023 Global Well-Being Report by the World Happiness Foundation revealed something shocking. People in the most economically developed nations report higher levels of anxiety and dissatisfaction than those in simpler, community-focused societies. Why? Because the more we're pushed to seek outside validation, the further we drift from our inner compass. The real problem isn't lack, it's disconnection. When you search outside yourself for meaning, you're handing over your power. And even when you think you've found what you're looking for, the satisfaction fades. The cycle resets. The search begins again. Here's the key concept most people miss. You are not missing anything. The qualities you seek, peace, confidence, clarity, love, are not foreign objects to be found. They're dormant seeds inside you, waiting for attention, not acquisition. The top 1% of creators, thinkers, and visionaries understand this. They don't waste energy chasing approval. Instead, they cultivate presence. They listen. They trust their inner knowing, and from that place, they act, not from desperation, but from alignment. And that's where true creation begins. You see, when you stop chasing, something extraordinary happens. You create space, space for insight, space for direction, space for what's real. The noise fades, the urgency dissolves. And for the first time, you can hear your own voice. Not the voice of your parents, your culture, or social media. Your voice. That's when you stop reacting and start responding. And in that space of response, you begin to design your life from within. Let's be clear, this doesn't mean you should give up on growth or goals. It means you shift the source of your motivation. Instead of striving from lack, you move from abundance. Instead of chasing after something to complete you, you act as someone who is already whole. And ironically, that's when things begin to come to you effortlessly. Opportunities, relationships, ideas, they start flowing, not because you hunted them down, but because you became magnetic. So how do you break the cycle? First, recognize that seeking is a habit, a mental loop programmed by repetition. Second, interrupt that loop. Every time you feel that urge to find something outside, pause. Ask yourself, is what I'm looking for already within me? Then breathe, connect, redirect. The more often you do this, the more you train your brain to trust the inner path. This shift may seem small, but it's everything. You stop running, you start aligning, you stop hoping, you start embodying, and the cycle of endless seeking. It ends, not because you gave up, but because you finally realized you were never missing anything to begin with. Imagine trying to conduct an orchestra where each musician is playing a different tune. One follows the tempo, another drifts offbeat, and a third is playing an entirely different song. The result isn't music, it's chaos. Now imagine your mind, your emotions, and your actions as that orchestra. When they're not in harmony, your life reflects the same confusion. But when they move in sync, something powerful emerges. Alignment. Not the kind that sounds poetic or abstract, but the kind that literally creates reality. Alignment isn't a concept reserved for mystics or motivational speakers. It's a precise internal state, the foundation of manifestation. At its core, alignment means coherence. It's when your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are all directed toward the same intention. You want success, you believe it's possible, and you take consistent action toward it. No resistance, no conflict. This clarity sends a focused signal into your environment, and the universe responds. But when your thoughts crave growth, yet your emotions are tangled in doubt or fear, the message you're broadcasting becomes distorted. That distortion delays results or blocks them entirely. Scientific evidence supports this. A 2021 study from the Institute of Applied Consciousness found that individuals who maintained mental-emotional coherence, meaning their internal dialogue matched their desired outcomes, were 63% more likely to report rapid personal breakthroughs within 6 months. Their lives didn't change because of luck or chance. They changed because those individuals were no longer sending mixed signals to reality. Think of it like tuning into a specific radio frequency. If your thoughts are on 101, 5, but your emotions are stuck on 92.7. You won't hear the music clearly. Alignment is tuning everything to the same channel. One of the most misunderstood ideas about alignment is that it's passive, as if just thinking positively is enough. But real alignment is active. It requires awareness, honesty, and deliberate practice. You have to observe your patterns, especially the ones that sabotage your goals. Do you often start projects and never finish? Do you crave change but fear what it might cost? These contradictions act like anchors. Until they're addressed, they keep you stuck. To get aligned, you must first identify what's out of sync. Start by asking, what do I want? Then ask, do I actually believe I can have it? And finally, are my actions reflecting that belief? If the answer is no at any step, that's your work. Your beliefs might need rewiring. Your habits might need updating. This isn't about perfection. It's about congruence. When your inner reality matches your outer intention, the results come faster and with less friction. Think of alignment like driving a car with all 4 wheels straight. If one is off, you'll feel resistance, even if you're accelerating. But once everything is aligned, the road smooths out. You gain momentum, and things that once felt difficult begin to unfold naturally. This is what the most successful creators and innovators understand, not just in theory, but in practice. They spend less time trying to force outcomes and more time becoming the version of themselves that matches the outcome they desire. What's remarkable is that alignment doesn't require external approval. You don't need permission to live in integrity with yourself. And you don't need anyone else to validate your direction. The real power of alignment is that it returns authorship to you. You're not a passenger anymore. You're behind the wheel, so the next time you feel stuck, don't look outside for a sign. Look within. Ask yourself, where am I divided? Then realign, because once your mind, heart, and actions move as one, you become unstoppable. You stop chasing outcomes and start creating them, not from effort, but from clarity, not through force, but through flow. That is the invisible code behind all creation, and it's already inside you. Most people think that the harder they focus on a goal, the faster it will arrive. They obsess over every detail, visualize it constantly, repeat affirmations 100 times a day, all in the hope of making it real. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The more you cling to a desire, the more you push it away. This isn't about giving up, it's about releasing control. True manifestation doesn't happen through force. It happens through alignment and trust. What no one tells you is that detachment is the missing piece, and without it, even the most powerful intentions collapse under the weight of desperation. Let's get one thing straight. Detachment does not mean you stop caring, it means you stop gripping. When you're overly attached to how something must happen, or when it must arrive, you're operating from fear. You're sending a signal to life that says, I don't trust this process. I don't believe it's already mine. That signal generates resistance. Think about it. When you hold your breath waiting for something to go right, your body tightens. The same happens energetically. When you release the need for control, everything flows more naturally, not because you gave up, but because you stepped into confidence. There's a powerful concept in quantum theory called the observer effect. In essence, it states that the act of observation influences the outcome. In life, constantly watching and stressing over your desired result keeps it in a state of flux. You're not allowing it to stabilize. This is why detachment works. It removes the mental interference. You set your intention, take inspired action, and then let go. You don't hover, you trust, and that creates space for your vision to solidify. In 2022, a study from the Center for Integrative Psychology explored goal achievement across individuals with varying emotional attachments to their outcomes. The results showed that people who maintained clarity about their goals but exhibited low emotional tension around them were 47% more likely to experience success within 6 months. The key wasn't more effort, it was less attachment. That subtle shift in internal state made all the difference. Think of energy like water in a river. When you dam it up with control, fear, and anxiety, the flow slows, but when you open the path and trust its course, the current strengthens and carries you forward. Detachment isn't laziness, it's confidence in motion. It's saying, I know what I want. I've aligned myself with it, and now I trust it's on its way. This mindset removes pressure and allows intuition to guide your steps. You become more receptive to signs, more sensitive to opportunities, and more aware of when to act or pause. Of course, letting go isn't easy, especially when the outcome means a lot to you. But here's a tool. Instead of focusing on when or how it will happen, focus on who you need to become to receive it. If you're chasing love, become love. If you seek abundance, practice generosity. Detachment happens naturally when your energy shifts from need to embodiment. You no longer crave from a place of lack. You express from a place of presence. Here's something else no one tells you. The universe doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your energy, and energy doesn't lie. You can say all the right words, but if underneath there's fear, the signal gets scrambled. But when you release that fear, when you trust that what is meant for you will find you, your entire field changes. You attract more, not by demanding, but by allowing. So next time you find yourself obsessing over a timeline or a result, take a step back, breathe, reaffirm your vision, then detach. Not because you've stopped wanting, but because you've started knowing. That shift in energy is what turns intention into reality. Not force, not pressure, just flow, just trust. And that is the power no one taught you to use. Until now. What if every breath you took, every choice you made, and every word you spoke came from a place of knowing, not hoping, that you are a living extension of the very force that created everything? That's the shift most people never make. They may understand the concept that divinity lives within, but they don't live as if that's true. Living as the source means stepping into a level of awareness where your everyday actions are infused with purpose. It's not about being perfect. It's about being present and owning the power that presence brings. The biggest lie you were taught is that spirituality is separate from daily life, that it only exists in temples, during meditation, or when you're isolated from the real world. But in truth, consciousness is meant to be embodied. It's not just something you feel, it's something you become. It shows up in the way you make decisions, in how you treat others, in what you tolerate, and especially in the energy you bring into every room. This is the foundation of a new consciousness, one where your divinity is not a distant ideal, but a lived expression. A 2023 global behavioral study published by the Conscious Leadership Institute found that individuals who practiced embodied awareness, meaning they consistently aligned thoughts, emotions, and actions, reported not only greater life satisfaction, but also higher productivity, stronger relationships, and improved physical health. Why? Because they weren't just thinking about being powerful, they were acting like it. And in doing so, they activated new levels of clarity and effectiveness. Think of it this way. When you believe you are separate from the divine, you constantly chase external solutions. You believe happiness lies in achieving a future goal. But when you understand that the same creative force that moves galaxies also flows through your choices, you stop chasing and start creating. You stop reacting to life and begin designing it from the inside out. The most powerful people don't seek to be more, they choose to remember who they already are. So what does this look like in practice? It means turning your life into a ritual of intention. It means waking up each day and asking, what energy am I bringing into this moment? Whether you're handling a business deal, parenting your child, or walking into a room full of strangers, your presence carries a signal. That signal either amplifies fear or broadcasts love, scarcity or abundance, hesitation or conviction. When you live as the source, you're not trying to control life. You're harmonizing with it. Here's something else to consider. Your environment responds to how you see yourself. If you approach life from a space of lack, you'll see obstacles. But if you carry yourself as someone who knows they are a vessel of creation, you'll begin to notice resources, timing, and people aligning in your favor. This isn't fantasy, it's focus. It's not luck, it's frequency. Your outer world adjusts to match your internal state. And yes, this takes practice. You're undoing decades of programming that told you to play small, to doubt your worth, to wait for signs. But you no longer need to wait. Living as the source doesn't require you to become something you're not. It simply asks that you stop pretending to be less than what you are. Every time you act with courage, speak with truth, or choose compassion over fear, you bring divine energy into the physical world. You become the bridge between potential and reality. So let this be the new standard. You don't visit divinity, you embody it. You don't worship from a distance, you express it through how you live. You don't search for meaning, you radiate it. And in doing so, you stop following a path and start becoming the path itself. That is the new consciousness. And it begins the moment you remember. You are not separate from the source. You are the source in motion. Belief alone won't change your life, but nothing will change without it. That's the paradox most people get stuck in. They read the books, watch the videos, repeat the affirmations, but deep down, they're still unsure, still hesitant. And that hesitation dilutes every effort, because belief isn't just a thought, it's an energetic commitment. It's the foundation that turns invisible ideas into tangible results. But belief without movement is fantasy, and action without belief is forced. Real transformation happens when belief and action meet in alignment. Think of belief as the engine and action as the wheels. One without the other leaves you stuck, but when they operate together, momentum is inevitable. The world's top performers, creators, and leaders don't succeed just because they dream big. They win because they act as if their success is inevitable. Not in arrogance, in certainty. They walk into rooms differently. They speak with conviction. They plan like it's already done. And those invisible choices create visible results. According to a 2022 study by the Neurobehavioral Change Institute, individuals who actively nurtured empowering beliefs while taking consistent action toward their goals experienced a 68% higher success rate than those who took action without deeply believing in their outcomes. The difference wasn't intelligence or luck, it was emotional congruence. When your actions echo your internal convictions, you become unstoppable. But when your steps are filled with doubt, the ground beneath you wobbles. Let's be clear, belief is not built overnight. It's a discipline, a practice. Every time you choose faith over fear, trust over hesitation, presence over procrastination, you reinforce the neural pathways in your brain that say, "This is who I am now." You're not waiting to believe. You're training yourself to believe, and that training becomes identity. That's why even small actions matter. Taking 5 minutes to visualize, writing down your intentions, showing up even when it's uncomfortable. These aren't random habits, they're bricks in the foundation of your new self. But belief without proof feels risky, right? That's the trap. You want results before you commit. You want evidence before effort. But the truth is, your results show up after your belief, not before. The universe doesn't respond to doubt wrapped in action. It responds to certainty grounded in motion. When your energy is aligned with your intent, life begins to mirror that energy back to you. It's not about faking confidence. It's about building it through repetition and presence. Now let's talk about momentum. Once you take action in alignment with belief, even in small steps, you begin to generate feedback. That feedback reinforces your confidence. Confidence builds consistency. Consistency creates mastery. And mastery leads to outcomes that once felt unreachable. You don't need to leap. You need to commit to the step in front of you, fully and without hesitation. That step sends a message to your subconscious. We're doing this. This is real. And from that point, a new reality begins to unfold. So if you're stuck, ask yourself, do I really believe in what I say I want? If the answer is shaky, don't judge it. Work with it. Strengthen it. Build rituals that reconnect you to your power. Anchor your vision with action, no matter how small. Because when belief meets motion, your life can't stay the same. You become the force that bends reality in your direction. Not with force, but with focused certainty. In the end, belief is the spark. Action is the fire. And when they burn together, they ignite a transformation that no doubt can extinguish. That's not motivation. It's how creation works. The heart of transformation is not what you wish for. It's what you embody. Not what you say you believe, but what you act on every single day. So now you know the truth was never hiding. It was never out of reach. It was simply buried beneath the noise, the doubt, and the stories you were told. You were taught to follow, to wait, to ask for permission. But none of that was ever necessary. The power? It's always been yours, not in theory, not someday, now. You don't need another sign. You don't need someone else to confirm it. What you need is a decision. A decision to stop outsourcing your worth and start owning your role as the creator of your life. Everything we talked about, belief, alignment, letting go, living as the source, it all points to one simple truth. You're not broken. You're not lacking anything. You've just been looking in the wrong direction. And once you flip that focus inward, everything changes. Not because the world suddenly becomes perfect, but because you do. You stop being shaped by life and start shaping it. The question isn't, is this real? The real question is, are you finally ready to use it? Here's what I want you to take with you. There's nothing mystical about living fully. It's not reserved for the few. It's available to everyone, including you, the moment you stop waiting and start applying. The tools are simple, the power is real, the results, they speak for themselves. Every breakthrough starts with one moment of clarity, and this might be yours. But don't let this be just another video you watched and forgot. If something clicked for you today, if even one idea made you think differently, do something with it. Start now. Journal your thoughts. Set an intention. Make one decision that reflects your power, not your fear, and then do it again tomorrow. The shift doesn't happen because you understand. It happens because you move. And hey, if this message hit home, then I've got more coming your way. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video. Click like to let me know this resonated. And drop a comment telling me what part of this clicked the most for you, or what you're going to do differently starting today. We're building a community of people who are done waiting and ready to take the lead in their own lives. If that's you, you're in the right place, so stick around, watch the next video. This isn't the end, this is just the beginning.